Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Mr. Andrew Whitfield, is here to discuss issues of Eastern Cape's economic development as well as export plans. Various people here to hear his inputs on that. Mr. Whitfield, can you first just talk about how is the Eastern Cape province specifically going to benefit from the implementation of the Automotive Production Development Program?
Well, the Eastern Cape has benefited from the first phase of the APDP, and today DTIC is here to unpack what the implications are for industry, what the opportunities are, and what the broad-based black economic empowerment requirements are around APDP 2. So as you can see, there's a huge turnout today to understand how the department and industry can work much more closely within the automotive master plan to get more value out of the industry insofar as job creation is concerned, insofar as equity equivalent programs are concerned, insofar as broad-based black economic empowerment is concerned. And we had to unpack some of those details for industry and to keep them on board and appraised of the developments in the department around the APDP program.
Just speaking of the automotive sector, huge discussion has been the issue of electric vehicles, the import and export of them. When can we see the guideline around that being set, especially because the target is 2013 by the EU?
Well, the white paper on electric vehicles was published, as you know. There's a lot more work that is being done. We're building, developing value chains around electric vehicles. We've got a huge opportunity as sub-Saharan Africa insofar as critical minerals are concerned, critical minerals which are required in battery manufacturing for electric vehicles. We have had engagements when I was in the United Kingdom last week around rules of origin issues in the interim to allow manufacturers in South Africa to export hybrid vehicles into the United Kingdom. We don't currently have the manufacturing capacity around the electric vehicles value chain. We are building that, and we are engaged with industry to make sure that we accelerate that process. There is a sense of urgency behind that. We appreciate what the timelines are, but we're also having a conversation with the European Union to say that the carbon border adjustment measures, the CBAM, is a punitive measure in our view, and that we are looking for an extension or an exclusion from some of the requirements that may be harmful to industry. If we consider where we are as a country, as a developmental economy, we've still got a long way to go. The Department of Trade, Industry and Competition is committed to the electric vehicle value chain. We're committed to building out our battery capacity. With critical minerals right on our doorstep and in our country, we think that the opportunity is huge for value addition within South Africa.
So it definitely is something that is on the pipeline, but obviously won't happen overnight.
It's not going to happen overnight, but it is being worked on by a very capable team at DTIC. It's a priority issue for the department to make sure that we transition in a fair and just manner, but that we do that as well within the realities that we face as South Africa, but as I said again, with the urgency that is required.
And lastly, Deputy Minister, in terms of economic development of the Eastern Cape, is the primary focus still the automotive, the agricultural? That's a huge focus, or are there other sectors now they're looking into that could be huge economic drivers for the Eastern Cape?
Well, this premises here today where we're being hosted is an example of global business services. There's software development that happens here, and those services are exported across the world. Service exports in South Africa are not where we would like them to be. The global business services sector is an enormous opportunity to employ unemployed graduates. It's a personal passion project of mine. We met with major multinational players in that space in London last week. They are keen to invest. There are some of them investing in Nelson Mandela Bay. We've got a number of call centers, but then on the higher skill end, we've got software developers that are trading their skills across borders. So yes, global business services, from a skills point of view, we've got a huge opportunity here, high skills in automation skills, software development, AI, etc. The agricultural sector remains critically important for us. 25% of our GDP, for example, is just from the citrus industry alone. 30% of the dairy in the country comes from the Eastern Cape. So the Eastern Cape's agricultural economy is critical to the rest of the country. And then automotive, absolutely critical. Components manufacturers. Nelson Mandela Bay, I think we have 100 automotive component manufacturers. We've got 4 of the 7 OEMs. We've got a huge opportunity in this transition to EVs. The DTIC is very focused on the automotive, agricultural and global business services sector, as well as other sectors, but we see huge growth opportunity there, and we've got to make sure ultimately that we get our ports right so that we can get our exports out, right? And we don't just have 3 ports in the Eastern Cape. People often think of seaports as our only ports. We've got 2 airports. We've got a crisis at King Paulo Airport that needs to be resolved, not just for tomorrow, but sustainably. We've got capacity challenges here at King David Stearman International Airport in Nelson Mandela Bay. I believe that King David Stearman International Airport can be an international airport, not just for passengers, but for freight, so that our exporters have got another avenue to send their products abroad. So there's huge scope for the Eastern Cape, but we've got to unlock those binding constraints on our economy. And from an export point of view and an industry point of view, logistics, freight rail and ports are the major concerns that we are fighting for within the Government of National Unity as the DTIC.
Well, that was the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Mr. Andrew Whitfield, speaking about the importance of today, speaking about the various economic drivers in the Eastern Cape, being the manufacturing sector, automotive sector, but also saying there's also a huge drive for the software developers, the AI developers, to really spearhead the Eastern Cape towards a global economy that will increase and also diversify the economy of the Eastern Cape. For now, let's go back to you in studio.